This is Ray Alexander from Lincoln, Alabama. When I was about 12 years old, my uncle had some chickens, and so he didn't have a car, so we'd have to he'd get a taxi and we'd fight out in the woods. And we didn't know nothing about chickens, you know, but somebody told me Harold Brown, that's a famous chicken fighter, was out in the woods. So I went over and asked, I said, why are you out here? He said, somebody stole chickens from me, I'm trying to find them. So we got acquainted, and he invited me to go to the fights with him, and we went to I started off at the major fights with Harold, and so he said, you want to go to a fight? I said, yeah. So I would go with him to Orlando, to St. Augustine, all the major fights back then, and that's how I started with Harold. Well, he was smarter than most people, and Alabama had some of the best teachers too. That's the reason there was such good roosters in Alabama. They had Harold and Curtis Blackwell and Blundy Rowland and those kind of people that taught all of us. And they were at the top at the time when they was fighting for those major tournaments in Orlando and St. Augustine and Biloxi, Mississippi. I just wanted to have an adventure. I just wanted to come, you know, and see what cockfighting was like. And when I got over here, it wasn't like I thought it was. I thought it was just going to be a pushover. But I seen right quick, I said, this ain't what I expected to be over here. Because I thought that people would be fighting them old jungle chickens, and you know, but they wasn't. And so I said, instead of asking the Americans what I need to do, I better ask these Filipinos like Jesse Cabasa or Esting Chapaco, and I'll learn more from them than I will any American. Because I'd be at the fight, and Duke would be in the pit with a rooster, and so I was trying to bet on Duke. Esting was setting me back down. He said, no. He said, don't bet on Duke now. I said, Duke's rooster will be a-walking. And sure enough, he'd be walking, they'd kill him. When he'd get late at night, start getting late, he'd tell me, now, Ray, if you want to bet on Duke, bet on him now. Because the night air has moved in, and Duke's rooster will get moisture back, and they'll be fighting. They'll be walking. They won't be. So, and he was exactly right. So I said, this is the man to find out about chickens from, is Esting. Not the Americans. So that's where I learned most of my knowledge from Esting and people like William McRae. A man was named Dr. Dazan and invited me to come, and we came over. He didn't have no facilities or no nothing. I didn't know nothing. We came over here blind, and we put him at he had some 4 or 5 boxes of stalls up there. All he had, and he had the little plunger things for water cups. I'll never forget that. So I seen I was in trouble, and then he had to wait till 9:30 the next day the bank to open before we could haul them to Paranaque. And when we finally get them in this old van, and my nervous wreck, I look back, my chickens are all hassling, and they're all done hassled down on the floor, and they couldn't hardly get up in there. They died. It was so hot. And I think we lucked out on one fight that day or something. But we didn't fight good at all. So the next day I said, I'll put my worst roosters in because we ain't got a chance in this derby. So I did, and I think we'd have lost 2 or something. So then I saved the best ones I had out of it, and then by the time I got ready, I got the moisture back in them. And so I went into the pit and asked Duke was there, and Johnny Jumper, James Jones, and so I said, I hadn't got any money. Could somebody get somebody to put my money up? And Duke acted like he didn't even hear what I said, and so he walked off, and Johnny Jumper overheard it, and he come over and said, Ray, you need somebody to help you? I said, yeah, I'm by myself. So he called James over there, and that's how we done it. And I didn't know how to weigh the roosters. I didn't know what kilos was. So this boy was writing the weights down, and we've done 1-3 straight in the little derby, in the small derby, and but this rooster, he'd weighed him wrong, and he was overweight. So they kept cutting feathers, off of him and kept cutting feathers, putting him out in the sun, let him get hot to get all the water out of him. And he had just a tail and 2 wings. They had shaved all the feathers off. I think Dr. Henry Tan did it. Cut every feather off him. They brought him in the pit, and all of the Filipinos hollered, "Kojak, Kojak." So they asked me, said, "Will this rooster break?" He's meeting a high breaking rooster. I said, "This rooster's named TUKAAN, the Japanese Superman." And I said, "They won't no rooster get on top of this rooster." And they turned them loose, and they went up in the top of the lights, and you couldn't even see the rooster. And they come back down, that other's dead as hell. And TUKAAN, the referee's trying to catch him, to get him, because he can't get him, and they chase him around and around and around, and the other's stone dead. But I don't know where mine's going to be dead or not, but they finally get him and bring him back there. And all the Filipinos hollering, clapping, "Kojak, Kojak, Kojak." And then that's when George invited me to come over. After that fight, after that episode. Right, he bumped into me, and then Duke had left him and went to Mr. Severio and didn't tell. Duke worked for George, and he left like a thief in the night, George not knowing, that thinking he's coming back. And to come to find out, he went straight with Severio and went to work with him, left George by himself. And that's when I come with George and started fighting with George at that time. And it's a friendship thing. He treats me like I am his brother, and I do everything I can for him. And that's what life's all about. You got to have somebody to love, and something to do, and somebody to love. If you ain't got that, you ain't got nothing. That's what life's all about. No, they said the Filipinos was calling him the Tenderbird. And we went over and we fought a big derby at Teresa. And we was going for the money, Jesse Cabasa, me and Jesse. And Mr. Severio come over and asked me, James had betting on, he'd bet a lot of money on this fight, and would get betting for Jesse. Mr. Severio said, "Ray, could I have the privilege of betting?" We was about $2 or $3 million short. And at that time, the peso wasn't but 8-1. And I said, "If you want to bet on it, you could bet on it, but I'm not sure you'll win." And when this thing turned that rooster loose, my wife was there. He recognized her, and he went as straight to her as he could go, and walking back and forth on that glass. And because he recognized that she's the one who fed him, and he went as straight to her, and we brought back. And we turned him loose, and they went up, and Jesse's rooster was way up here on top. So the rooster, I had seen he was wrong, and he banked off, and he come back down again, and then he faked like he was going up, and he come back in, and mine went up above him, killed him stone dead. That was last fight, 6 straight. All the people said, "Ray, you put the thunder back in the Thunderbird." It helped me learn a lot about chickens plus people here. I got a very good education here, and a good one. I learned a lot right here in the Philippines. I learned how to take care of roosters and hold on and keep them ready to fight for long hours at a time. It's hard to explain because the Filipino people have been so good to me over the years. I've never been treated just the nicest they treated me in my life. I was raised poor, was kicked around all my life, and over here I got respect. These people were so nice to me, it's unbelievable. I'm treated like a king over here, and I could have never been treated like a king nowhere but here. And the Philippine people have been so nice to me, so I can't say nothing good but about the Philippine people. Just keep doing what you're doing, because y'all are way ahead of the world. Y'all all happy. Any of you can walk down any street, any alley, everybody's laughing and smiling. You don't see that nowhere but here. So whatever they're doing is right.